G'day ladies and gents, and welcome to MagzTV's vlog for the 1st of October 2015. My god, this year's going along fast. It's actually been almost 2 months since I've done a vlog. I really need to schedule these a hell of a lot more often. So the background footage for the start of today's vlog at least, is X-Plane 10, the SR71. Now, I promised some time ago to actually show this off. I hadn't had a chance to have a good look at the module at the time. Having a closer look at it, it's not a particularly accurate representation of the SR71 Blackbird, but it is a hell of a lot of fun to fly, and it is a cockpit that you don't get to check out very often. And as far as I can tell, the cockpit itself is fairly accurately laid out. So, is the start of today's vlog going to be discussing something about X-Plane 10? No, I'm going to be talking about War Thunder. Why am I not throwing War Thunder footage in the background? Because I haven't played War Thunder since I did my Much Balanced video about a week ago. So I literally have nothing to put up. So, War Thunder, War Thunder, War Thunder. What a shitstorm this has turned into, hasn't it? I truly haven't had any motivation to even log on to the game in the last week. And I have been questioning exactly what I'm going to do with this game and the channel at this point. Well, the channel's not a question. I'll continue to make videos and other stuff, but what I was going to do with War Thunder and what its place on my channel was going to be. And I've decided I'm going to continue covering War Thunder, but I'm going to be covering it slightly differently than as I have in the past. Now, everyone's well aware that, according to Gaijin, War Thunder is still in beta, and, well, that excuse got so tired about a year ago. Gaijin went and erased almost all references to it being in beta off their own website without actually announcing a release. According to them, it still is, but even they worked out that, 3 years of active play, charging people money, you can't hide behind that anymore. Most games don't have a 3-year life cycle. 3 years in beta is ludicrous. Well, they're coming up on 4 years now. But yes, Gaijin was hiding for a long time behind that "it's in beta" excuse, and the community got sick and tired of that. This patch has been the patch that broke the camel's back in regards to me being able to take their line of pursuing historical accuracy with any form of seriousness. In the past, I've covered the planes, trying to look at them from the standpoint of the real aircraft. This patch was the patch that finally made it clear to me that there is absolutely no point in continuing to do this. Not only will War Thunder never have accurate flight modelling or fully accurate damage modelling or ever actually have aircraft that are full representations of the aircraft that they are meant to be, and it also made it perfectly clear that the game will never be balanced between unhistorical changes to the performance of aircraft, flight models that are 4 years old that have never been finished, the balance changes that have been going through, time-travelling shells and time-travelling tanks, prototype aircraft that never saw combat or were never armed. It's never going to be able to make a claim of historical accuracy in any avenue that the game represents. Even the damage models don't work as they should from an historical standpoint, although I think that is a limitation of the engine. I think the damage engine for War Thunder is actually incapable of correctly modelling the damage to an aircraft. And of course then there's the damage modelling to the weapons themselves. If British 30 cals worked as well in real life as they did in War Thunder, the British would have never put 20mm Hispanos on any of their aircraft. They would have just whacked 2 or 3 more 30 cals in each aircraft wing and sent it on its way. So yes, from now on, I'm just going to look at War Thunder from the standpoint of it being a game. And that's it. It's just an arcade game. The realistic module is not realistic in any way. Simulation is not realistic in any way. None of the game modes within War Thunder are realistic at all. And you know what? That's fine. That's fine. War Thunder will just be the game that I follow. I have other simulators. I'm actually looking into a tank simulator that some of you may find very interesting. So I can put footage on the channel of simulations that are actually trying to accurately represent a real aircraft to 100%. But I'm going to treat War Thunder much like I treat this SR71 inside of X-Plane. It doesn't try and accurately represent the SR71. It just creates a awesome, fun little plane to fly and do stupid shit in. And that's what War Thunder is going to be from now on. I'm still going to look at the tactics of combat, I'm still going to try and show you the best ways to win, but historical accuracy is just no longer going to be relevant, because I'm going to lay my money down right now that War Thunder will die, and maybe a new game, maybe an old game, I don't know when it's going to die. I don't expect it to be anytime soon, but when it does, it'll still be out of balance, and it will still have inaccurate flight models, and all the problems that exist now will exist then. And whether or not that's in 12 months or whether or not that's in 12 years, it's still going to have those problems. I just don't think it's a game that's ever going to get past where it currently is. Hopefully letting go of all the stress of Gaijin's claims of historical accuracy is going to help me focus more on the fun games. I know it's been bleeding, the frustration has been bleeding into my videos a lot recently, and I have been frustrated. I've been looking at the game, it was so close to being able to pull off what it claimed, and it just hasn't been able to do it, and it hasn't been able to do it in 4 years, so yeah. We'll just make it a fun game. I'll still cover the tactics. We'll still have some fun. The good part is I'm also going to throw most of my rulebook in the bin from now on. The game doesn't take itself seriously. I'm probably not going to take the rules too much more seriously anymore. I don't know whether I'll be strafing people out on runways or not. You know, maybe I will, maybe I won't. You'll have to wait and see in match. But there has been some planes that I've been deliberately avoiding flying, quite a number of them that I've been avoiding flying, that I'm just going to stop avoiding. I think I'm going to be looking for the fun match rather than the challenging match from now on, because, well, honestly, I think that's something you guys might actually enjoy seeing. Trying to find the fun in War Thunder again. We'll see how that goes. So next up, patches and updates. So what the hell else has been going on? Well, first up, ARK Survival Evolved just recently had a massive update, 1.5 gig. Previous to this update, the entirety of ARK, the island itself, was one giant tropical island. They've began placing biomes across that tropical island at this point. The first part is the northwestern corner of the island, which has become a massive snowy tundra. An example of the Ice Age on the Ark itself. Now you'll find most of the Mammoth, Sabertooth, Argent and Dodecarus spawns have been shifted into this zone, and a new creature has been added in this area, the Dire Wolf, a fast and vicious pack hunter that travels the northern tundra. It is extremely agile when crossing the very harsh terrain that you find up on this section of the island now, but it's also worthwhile looking at as a very early mount in the game, as they're fairly quick and easy to tame, and they do not require a saddle to ride. Just remember that the snow biome isn't all just for looks. The temperatures up here can drop fast enough that your character will die in minutes, unless you're in the right gear or you have access to a shelter. But the snow biome wasn't the only one that we received. This is the other one, the swamp biome. The entire south river of the island, as well as some parts of the southeast and southwest side of the island, has been converted into this swampy marshland. Again, spawns have been shifted. The swampy marshland features most of the spawns for the Sako, or giant crocodile, as well as the Titan boa, a massive, long 20-foot snake that slithers its way through these swamps, along with the spawn for an entirely new creature, the Beelzebufo, a giant, extremely toxic and extremely dangerous frog that you can mount and ride and is able to jump easily over anywhere up to 3 to 4 story walls. Actually, we've got giant cane toads, crocodiles, massive snakes, massive insects, extremely hot down this end of the world, giant sharks in the oceans, and the developers are currently working on a desert biome. This game's becoming Australia Survival Evolved. So last but not least, the last game I want to talk about today, DCS World, and this one's going to take a little while. So, it's no secret I absolutely love DCS World. DCS World is easily one of the best combat simulators I've ever had the privilege of playing. The attention to detail in the modules, the amount of accuracy that they try and get in, details, little details that other games would just ignore. Like, for example, the last video I posted up, the Huey. Many people wondered whether or not it was a bug that the center console on the Huey rocked around so much in flight. No, it wasn't a bug. They actually modeled that accurately. That's what the center console on the Huey did when you flew it. It's an absolutely stunning combat simulator, but it's not without a few flaws. Now, the majority of these flaws all stem from the game's engine. DCS World uses the Fighter Collection Simulation engine. It's a very old engine. This is well over a decade at this point. The first time Eagle Dynamics actually used this engine was on the original lock-on Modern Air Combat in 2003. Now, at the time, 3D accelerated graphics were not what they are today, so this particular engine requires heavy usage of the CPU in order to do a lot of its rendering work. It doesn't rely on the video card all that much. Now, the engine has been overhauled again and again and again to solely put better and more realistic physics within the game, to put high definition graphics within the game, but it's pretty much reached the limitations of what it's capable of. At this point, unless you're fielding an i7, if you're flying at extremely high speeds at low altitudes, as the game starts rendering in the assets for a town very rapidly due to your speed, you will notice significant frame rate drops. In fact, the frame rate of the game is quite unstable in low altitude flight. And regardless of how powerful your computer is or how great your video cards are, while the models for the aircraft as a general rule are quite beautiful and extremely well detailed, the actual environment you're flying in doesn't look great. You can tell this is an older engine, significantly older. Terrain poly counts are incredibly low, shadow work on the ground is incredibly low, the texture quality is not great, there's lots of issues with anti-aliasing on particular parts of the road, they're on roads and shorelines. You'll find all sorts of little issues at low altitude, which is, it can be quite a disappointment, especially when you look at the realism of the game. And then you drop down to low altitude flight, which is of course the funnest place to fly. It doesn't matter what aircraft you're in, you get it down on the deck and it is the biggest buzz you'll get, and you're greeted with a fairly low quality terrain environment. Now the game has always made up for it in the past by the accuracy of the simulation, and that has been the most important part, of course. But it's about time that they fix this little issue. Well, they are. For a very long time, those of us who follow DCS have been waiting for a fabled patch and update called DCS 2. The first and most important part of this particular update is the entire engine for DCS World is being replaced. The decade-old engine is going out the window and it will be replaced with the Eagle Dynamics graphics engine, or the Edge engine. A custom engine designed specifically for DCS World, able to bring some incredible visuals to the game, while simultaneously opening up even more options for module developers to be able to make even more accurate modules than they already are, with much higher detail than they already have, which, just to think about it, is incredible. This patch is also going to unify the game engine. One of the biggest complaints, and it's a personal complaint of mine, with DCS World has been it opens two executables in order to operate. When you double click on the game to actually start it, it loads the first executable, which brings up the entire front end for DCS World. When you actually select a plane and get your mission in order and actually begin to start flying, it reopens a second executable and puts you into a second window in order to be able to fly. It's annoying, it consumes system resources, it's inefficient. It's gone with the Edge engine. It will be completely unified. The client is going to be beautiful. So, when's this fabled patch supposed to drop? Well, the first part that was supposed to go in was the Edge engine, and this was going to be DCS 1.5 patch. The first half of the game modifications are going to go into place. 1.5 is also going to be the open beta testing for the patch. As for when it's supposed to be in, well, it was meant to be in now. And that's the problem. I've actually been holding off showing DCS this month. I've really wanted to show more, but I was waiting on the release of 1.5, as 1.5 was slated to be released at the end of September. Well, it's now the 1st of October and it still hasn't dropped yet. They are trying to get the patch out at the moment. The Reddit is currently buzzing with information on the patch. The last time I checked details on it, it looked like they were having some massive stability issues and they were having to rebuild part of the patch. So, unfortunately, I'm not able to show you what the new Edge engine looks like, which is what I was hoping to do with this particular clip. Hopefully by the time you guys are watching this video, I will be downloading patch 1.5, and this will be the last time you get to see the old DCS engine. Why bring all this up? Well, I was hoping to do an update on 1.5, show you what the new game looked like, as I said a moment ago. Also wanted to take this opportunity for those who are not into DCS yet, who have had a look and are unsure on whether or not they want to get involved in the game, or in the simulation rather. Now is probably a good time to take a look, because the community is going to be very, very active over the next couple of weeks, out to the next couple of months. Now, I get asked these questions a lot. What does it take to get into DCS? Well, obviously you got to meet the minimum system requirements to run the game. The system requirements I don't believe are going to change much with 1.5, so if you meet them now, you should be perfectly fine when the new patch finally does arrive. How much does it cost? Well, the base DCS is free. It gives you access to a fully operational Su-25 Frogfoot Russian ground attack aircraft. You also get an example of the TP-51. That's the P-51 that you see me flying now without a fully interactive cockpit and without guns. But you can fly it around and just take it out for a buzz and see how it runs. So no upfront cost to find out whether or not you're interested in the simulation itself. You will require a joystick, however. You can play DCS World on keyboard and mouse technically, but you're going to have all sorts of trouble controlling the aircraft. Best bet is just to get your hands on a cheap joystick. I started out on the Logitech Extreme 3D Pro. It's about a $20 joystick, and it did perfectly fine for my first flights and my beginning phase of learning the simulation. The important part on any joystick you pick, make sure it's got twist functionality so you can control the rudder. That is very important. Outside of that, it doesn't really matter what brand you pick. I do recommend the Logitech, simply on the quality of the stick and the price. It is a very easy way to get into the simulation. It does have a throttle. Don't bind it. The throttle on it's crap, but everything else about the stick is good. And last but not least, the cost of the modules. Well, the modules are expensive for each individual aircraft. However, you are not buying just some crappy premium or some crappy piece of DLC that shows up in more mainstream games. The aircraft that you buy for DCS, the modules, often have more development time on just that one aircraft than some games that you see on the market that you can pick up. A perfect example is the F-14 Tomcat module, which is still under development at the moment and not available to buy. As far as I'm aware, it's been under development for 3 to 4 years at this point, which means that one aircraft has had more development time in it, or as much development time in it, as War Thunder. However, you can save yourself some money if you don't mind buying some of the older modules rather than the brand new ones just being released. There is regular sales on both the standard website for DCS and the Steam store for DCS that can very easily come up to 50 to 75% off particular aircraft. So keep a watch on both of those. You can use the aircraft modules you buy on Steam on the standalone client from the DCS website and the Steam client for DCS, but anything you purchase on the DCS website will only work on the DCS standalone client. Steam doesn't allow you to use those codes on the Steam version. Recommend, if you're going to put through and you don't mind not running the Steam client, try and get the standalone version and run that, because then you can take advantage of sales on both sites, and they usually run the sales out of sync, so you'll find yourself with aircraft on sale about once a month. So anyways, if you're interested in the simulation, now is probably the time to give it a try. For those who are a little worried about the difficulty curve, if you go into the options, you can turn certain aspects of the simulation off to make the simulation more game-like in order to give you a gentler entry curve into the game. Just keep in mind that almost all of the active multiplayer servers, if you decide to have a go at that, are full simulation only, and that can be a steep learning curve if you've only been playing on game mode. So, one final thing before I take off, and it is actually back to the topic of War Thunder. I should have mentioned this earlier on. I've been getting asked a lot of questions on when will I be putting player replays or subscriber replays back up on the channel, because I said I was going to and I haven't done it yet. This week, I will be going through my most recent set of replays this week, and we'll be selecting out replays to start posting on the channel. My goal is I'm probably going to put up about one per week. One of my War Thunder videos a week will be a subscriber replay. I may do a special where I put 2 or 3 battles together at some point as well. We'll see how it goes, but replays will start on the channel this week. Anyways, ladies and gents, hope you enjoyed the video. Click like if you do, subscribe if you want to see more. Fly smart, fly safe, and I'll catch you in the skies.